Bonjour and welcome back. My name is Austin, and today we definitely finished the Asian Readathon on time. I don't know what you're talking about. As per my last video, I talked about I talked about the Asian Readathon and the three books I have sitting right here because I'm too lazy to put them away. The three books that or three of the books I planned and failed to read, making me overhaul my entire process. But today we're going over the things that went right ish. I'm still not technically finished one of the books. I plan on finishing it today. And one of the books had to get crossed off. So I'll still talk about it, but I'm technically only doing two books for the challenge, which I didn't want to do. I know it's okay by the rules, it's just about reading Asian books, but I feel like a very big disappointment today. All days, really, but especially today. The first book I'm going to talk about is the graphic novel Mooncakes, which is the one I had to cross out. I chose this because the illustrator was Chinese, and I thought both the main characters, but one of them was Asian as well. And I thought this was a perfect time to cross off a graphic novel that has been on my want to read forever, and that I got the librarian to buy for me, and I had yet to read. So picked it up, read it in a day, and overall, it was okay. This is something I feel with most graphic novels, and really no, graphic novels mostly, is that they tend to rush some aspect of its story. Something doesn't feel in depth or whatever. There's usually a problem I have with it. This was no different. The story just felt like it happened. I didn't really feel like it was well paced. Things just happened and then happened. The romance was really quick to happen. I wouldn't necessarily say it was rushed. I felt like, like it probably could have been like an extra chapter, but generally speaking, I thought they set it up to be really early. But I'm a slow burn girly, so that wasn't really for me. I thought the book was about baking, or at least there was going to be baking in it. There wasn't. Like, I had this one for the prompt about like what you'd want in another life or whatever. And since I hope to become a baker, I was like, oh, this is for me. It wasn't baking. Why are they baking on the cover? To say I was severely disappointed by that. The overall plot felt not super expanded on. Oh, their stepdad is a part of this cult that's trying to put a beast in them. Where did this come from? Full spoilers for this, by the way, but I just didn't understand why it didn't feel well foreshadowed. It didn't really feel in depth in most ways. The characters were enjoyable though. The romance was really cute. So, I'll take it for what it was, which was a romance graphic novel. But overall, I didn't, I can't, like, I have nothing to say about it. It just exists. I think I rated it 5 stars. I think it should be 4 stars. I can't help but feel disappointed by it. And a lot of that comes from my high expectations for it, especially for wanting to read it for so long. But it is what it is. At least I crossed it off my list, so I can't be complaining. I can be actually. It's like the point of, but whatever. The next one I read, I have right here. The cover's a little input damaged. That is Erased by Kei Sambe. I'm definitely pronouncing that wrong. Kisamba? That doesn't sound right. Anyways, Erased is one of my favorite animes. So earlier, I guess earlier this school year, in around October, we were holding a thrift store to raise money for the environmental club, and my friend was selling these, and I was like, "Hell yeah, brother! I'll read this." I think I was originally gonna borrow it from her when she bought it originally in grade 9, and then I never did. So here we are. I bought this way. I always forget. I bought off her. I was so excited to read it. And thoughts? It's definitely better than the anime. There's more scenes that make more sense. For example, the thing, the revival, that's what he calls it. It shows up more in this. There's an extra scene that shows the revival happening, which I thought was great. 'Cause, like, that's supposed to be the big element of the story, but in the anime, he goes back and stops some kid from getting hit by a truck, and then stops someone from getting abducted, and then it's saving his mother. And it's just, I like that there was an extra scene. Also, like, really interestingly, and also really obviously, one thing you notice is that all times it's been used, it's to save children. I know technically the whole point is to go save his mom, but he has to save 3 children to save his mom. I should explain the plot of these. That's like kind of the point. Oh, this guy gets sent back in the past to stop children from getting murdered. That's it. I because the murderer murdered his mom. Yeah, 18 years in the future. Oh, slay! Overall, once again, I mean, no, not once again. This book was much better than Mooncakes. It exceeded a lot of my expectations, which is impressive because I had pretty damn high ones. I really liked the scenes that didn't make it into the anime. I'm glad that they exist. I need to keep holding it up. I felt that everyone was more in depth. The main character, we saw a bit more of his motivations. We saw this resignation of his power, sort of like he doesn't want it, but no matter what, he always tries to help, even if he doesn't want to. He feels obligated. I thought that was great. Um, mm, there's one weird thing about this, and this is a problem I have with the anime too. So he goes back in time. Oh, I'm touching the mic. He goes back in time into his 11-year-old self. Once again, he's 29 years old. Mentally, when he goes back, he still has his 29-year-old brain. Why is he crushing on her? That's a child. And the manga and anime, like, so explicitly are like, this is a 29-year-old man. Like, on multiple occasions, when, like, there's a scene where he's blushing because of this 11-year-old girl, the manga has an arrow and it's like 29-year-old man. Why do you need to include it? It didn't need to be in it. Am I okay? And it does this. I feel the anime does this worse because the first time it happens, they're like, or he's like, "I'm 29. What is happening?" And then after that, it just kind of keeps going, and it's like, at least in this one, every time it happens, they're like, "Reminder: this is a middle-aged. That is not a middle-aged man. This is a 29-year-old. He should not be doing that." Any other thoughts? Good. I'm excited. I have 2 and 3. I need to get the fourth, but I'm excited to continue, and I can't wait to see what else is different. I hope the ending is different because I think there's something they could have done that was more interesting based on what we've seen. But overall, I mean, it was obviously going to be good. It'd have to be like it'd have to be like Made in Abyss levels of yikes to really not have been enjoyable. So slay, slay. The final book I'm going to talk about is an actual novel called The Thousand Crimes of Ming Su by Tom Lin. And how higher, because I don't know. This book follows our titular character Ming Su on a journey through Nevada to kill some people who wronged him. That's the story. My nose is itchy. Yeah, there's not really plot in this, other than like the murder scenes, but it's mostly a character study, I feel, of him and the circus. I was gonna say creatures of the circus people. That'd be oof. Which, I mean, I gave this book 4 stars. The characters were interesting. They were, I want to say, enrapturing, but I don't know if that's the correct use of that word. Characters had me invested. They were mysterious and charming and incredibly flawed. But everything else just left me disappointed. The prophet, Ming himself, the plot, the violence, which is weird because I don't like violence. I don't know why I bought this book knowing that it was going to be full of violence, but I did. So, like, thanks? But I was expecting, I guess, more unique violence. He stabs someone and then he shoots them. And that's like every kill he does. It's not where he just shoots them. It's like, girl, I hope we can get a bit creative with it. And then the beginning of the book felt a bit like a slog. Everything up until when the prophet shows up, okay, that's like the first 15 pages. I'm being dramatic. Is really like, ugh, boring, whatever. The prophet shows up and there's a little more interest. And then the circus shows up and I'm like, okay, I actually want to read this now. And then at the end of the book, I won't say too much, but after Huxton, I'm bored. It's a good 20 pages of boredom. I was practically skimming. I was like, or I'd read it, and often when I read something, I went through it too fast, so I have to go back and reread it. I did that a lot, and I was like, I'm not going back. It's not worth it. I couldn't care less. And then finally, we got somewhere I was like, okay, I'm interested. I'm talking about that guns dealer, what was happening there. Like, and you had like 2 pages of that, and then he went on, and it's like, what? There's a lot in this book that I felt should have been explored further. But at the same time, I couldn't imagine this book going any longer. This sounds like a really scathing review. The book is pretty good, all things considered, but there's lots of moments where I'm bored, where I could care less. So I did slog through a lot of it, but ultimately, I mean, it's not the worst thing I've read. That makes it sound really bad. It was good. It was one of the better 4-star books I've read. How's that? You know, I've read a couple, and this is one of the better ones because the characters were intriguing. The last 5 pages were actually interesting. Even as far to say the last 5 pages plus those 2 pages in the gun dealership thing. But there's so much there that isn't that I didn't care about or felt had no need in the story. Except for the scene where he's burying that person. I thought that was pretty... I mean, like, I wasn't paying full attention, but I'm well aware that that was big for his character. Yay! The other thing I wanted explored was the animals. Why was he communicating with them? And then that only comes up like 3 times. Like, he does it with the raven, and then I forget about it. And then I think he does it again with some random animal. and then I forget about it, and then the cougar shows up, and it's like, you could have used it more, or you could have explained it further, but they just show up and they don't really do anything. They don't well, they probably resemble something, but this is a revenge fantasy. This is not supposed to be deep, in my opinion. I don't think I get every book should have a theme, but they don't all need to be like central to that's the point of a theme. But it doesn't fucking matter. I wanted more exploration of other things in this book. Because genuinely, when I'll keep talking about this, the characters were so intriguing, but nothing else was. Even because they're traveling across Nevada, every scene is the same. They're traveling on the road, Ming talks to someone, and then they settle down, make a campfire, and they talk. Then maybe they do a show, and then they're on the road again. And that is those 170 pages that I'm interested in. It's similar to the one Way Too Small on Your Planet, but less so. I mean, that's one of my favorite books of all time, but this doesn't have those fun shenanigans or really deep character conflicts. I mean, like, Proteus was a little racist sometimes. I say a little racist sometimes because, like, we hear nothing of him for, like, the first half, and then finally he's, like, he just starts being racist, and it's like, okay, where did this come from? I mean, like, not unexpected, but... And there's, like, the ringmaster just suddenly becomes racist, and it's like, okay, we could've... Oh, they probably both done it, and I just wasn't paying attention. But it's like that scene where they're in the town with a bunch of Chinamen, and he's like telling Ming to communicate with him. He's like, what the fuck? I don't speak Chinese. And he's like, I don't care. It's like, where's this coming from? It was very confusing. But like overall, the conflict between characters was very minimal. Until one scene, the only conflict of characters is Proteus not wanting Ming to go with them because he's a criminal. Yeah. Should this book even be 4-star? I don't know. Even though I just said it's one of the better ones, I'll stick by it. I just love to complain sometimes. It's very rare for me, but it just comes out of me all at once. So that's all I have to say about this book, I think. It was fine. I was disappointed by a lot of it. Characters, however, did not, so slide. That is all for this year's Asian this is tilting again. For this year's Asian Readathon. I yet again had a really disappointing year. Last year was also disappointing. I didn't honestly do anything about it. Hopefully next year, I mean, I'll be hopefully. Oh, I won't be. I will be in another city, probably unable to afford books. So I guess we'll see. But I do hope next year I get better better books, pick better. To be fair, I I wanted to get some of my own books read because there's so many, and hey, a DNF still means I tried. Yeah. Also, I I recorded obviously the first videos, the first 3 parts, intro and the other 2 books, before I finished this one. So those were recorded at a different time. Why are the book reviews so good quality? Like all my videos are really bad quality because they're recorded on a phone. But like I'm watching those and I'm like, wait, this feels professional. And I'm pretty sure these don't look like that. It's really disappointing me. I have no idea what happened, but I just like to point that out. Anyways, thank you for what. Not me actually crying. This is embarrassing. Thank you for. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you again.